But what I was really most excited about was the tag match. One Final Table is what it was called. The last match between the Hardys and the Dudleys. And I know technically they did this 11 years ago and said that was their last match, but this time I think they mean it. There have been some health issues that I think dictate that this may become the last Dudley's match. I don't know it's the last Bully Ray match necessarily, but I think that Devon's probably going to call it a career. Is that the way you read this or feel about this?
You know, our number one correspondent on this show for me and you, Conrad, or certainly for me, Cody. They took the boots off in the ring, right?
And handed them to the Hardys. It was an emotional thing.
Yeah.
And even Bully tweeted, you know, the end, and arm in arm with Devon as they walk through the back curtain. What a photo, what a shot. I think everybody knows these two teams were synonymous with each other. I used to troll all of my non-ECW fan friends, and I would ask them, "Hey, who's the best tag team of all time, and why is it the Dudley Boys?" I love them as a main event act, and I think that they really probably don't get enough credit. And I know they've won all these tag titles, but I feel like the modern fan sort of dismisses their accomplishments. But when they first came to TNA, Jeff, that was a big deal for TNA, was it not?
I've never ever forget meeting them at the TGI Fridays across the street from the Doubletree in Orlando. And Frank Dickerson, the executive out of Panda, had zero clue. This is one of his first kind of big talent meetings, and I was doing my best. And man, Conrad, it takes me back to those days that talent. I'm a talent. I'm running creative, wearing all the different hats. But when you got an executive from Panda, and we got to meet these talent. Yes, I want them on board. It's going to be a budget issue, but I think Bubba and Devon kind of understand where we're at, where we're going, and what we want to do, and all this. But yeah, hell yeah, I knew. And Cody showed me several clips because we had the lake day and all this, but he showed me several clips, and it got me really to thinking about how just life works out, Conrad, that these four had their last match in a TNA ring. And when I look at my bud Nero, we exchanged texts this morning, not about wrestling, about life. But, you know, he was at one of our first shows, 2002 and 3, and now here it is in 2020. Like, he's been with the brand off and on. I get that, for over 20 years. And Matt, you know, he came, whatever, 2010, 11, you know, he's been with the brand off and on. But when I look at Bubba and Devon, 05, you know, came on board, the ID shoots, Bubba.
By the way, that's right after One Night Stand, where the ECW nostalgia was at an all-time high. So that happened in June of 05. So when they come in for you a few months later, it feels like, man, they are on the radar more than they had been in a while.
And I say this, Devon's great. Bubba's ability to connect, and I'm going to say this, not just with an audience, live events, all this, but like when you have a skill set of understanding the impact zone, 1,000, however it may be, give or take, whatever it may be, and knowing that hard camera, but you're working to a hard camera, like Bubba's really, really good at understanding, conveying messages, and being I'll call it, the simple term is polished, that you're putting out a TV product, but if you don't, to create a good TV product, you got to have the fans engaged and just all the different things. They were very instrumental. What you just 05, because you really look at 05 to 09, most profitable years by far. And they were right in the middle of it. So that's why I've just got a ton of respect for those guys. But how life happens, those four have their final match in a TNA ring at Bound for Glory. It's pretty, life just works out exactly, no matter how much we want to slice and dice and pull and plug and chess piece and play checkers one day and chess the next and Jenga, whatever it may be. Life's going to happen exactly the way it's supposed to happen. And those guys in that ring, Devon, you know, they started a school down in Orlando. Just, there's so many connections to that brand. Taking the boots off, it was cool. I mean, Codes really thought it was pretty cool. I think that really kind of digested to him, and he's a great focus group into the story and all that. So you just have to kind of look at that. I'm glad Santana won the belt, but if you think that those guys, people paid to see history last night, and
They did.
and I don't know any better way to say it is they paid to see history and to be a part of history. And you just think in our industry that, sports, you have playoffs and all that, but you don't have the opportunity. Once Jordan was done, yeah, he came back and played a couple of seasons, but you can't really live that glory again and go for the titles and all that kind of stuff. Music certainly doesn't work out that way. You kind of go on a retirement too, but those guys got to pull out, and the announcers, I think it was Tom. Yeah, that was the voice I heard on one of the bites. Really, a really good sound bite. It just kind of gave closure to a wrestling fan who has gone on that journey. It so connects emotionally. It is what makes our business like none other. I think that is a part of why I love it today more than I ever have, because the ability that we have to connect to audiences. And last night they got the opportunity. I hope those four guys shook the powers that be last night, because, man, what an opportunity that was given to them, and they delivered.
I don't know when we'll talk about them again, so I want to ask now, when you're getting the Dudley Boys and you find out, or they find out, hey, technically, since WWE bought the ECWIP, we can't call ourselves the Dudley Boys. How did you land on Brother Ray and Brother Devon? Was there any other discussion that you recall about a different name, maybe?
How much dealings have you done with Bubba? Your fair share, right?
Yeah. I like Bubba. I know that he's a controversial figure in wrestling, but in real life, I like Bubba. I like Bubba a lot.
But what I'm saying is, he's a salesman.
Yes.
It was, and if they believe, they sold it to me, hey, I walked away with it. If they've got a solution, I was never hung up on that. And the biggest reason why is Bubba. Yes, but Devon would sit here and shake his head. We've had more fun through the years, all of us. But Bubba's not just promo skills, conviction that it like the 3D was his move, Team 3D. Like, it was a no-brainer. This is the transition. We're going to move right on through it. And it just worked. They had it together in the very first meeting. Here's how we're going to do this. Got it. Let's roll.
I want to ask you about the way they came in versus the way a lot of other former WWE talent came in. Respectfully, as a fan, I'm watching from home, and I would see various WWE talent come in, and I would feel like, as a fan, it felt like they're not taking this seriously. They feel like this is a downgrade. It's not WWE. So they're just going to sort of half-ass it. I won't name names, but we can probably land on the same ones. I never got that impression with the Dudleys. It's like the Dudleys came in and it felt like ECW and WWE all over again. Did you feel the same way as the guy who was there? Did you feel like they were coming in with the right attitude, for lack of a better word?
If you look at the debuts in 2010 and 2011, I cringed at almost all of them, including Flair, including Hogan. Look, I know we've celebrated Hulk, but I've said it a couple of times. His creative vision just wasn't there, and I think Eric would a lot of times went with Hulk, and Dixie didn't have a clue. But man, I think of RVD. I think of Matt. I think there's several that I just, man, whoa, what are we doing? But like the Kurt Angle debut, because Kurt obviously had a lot of drive in him. He wanted so bad to come in and succeed, and just kind of that, it's real, it's damn real, and that deal. And then when he got to work, he came to work, all that. But so go back before that, what you just said, those guys came to the original meeting and were ready to go to work. And here's the team, and here's this, and here's that, and here's the, like, super engaged. And so at the end of the day, that is one thing I can safely say. Downstairs, when we were going through creative all those different years, or whether we'd be in Nashville in a creative room or Orlando, when you see Team 3D's name on the board in the slot, lack of effort never entered into anybody's mind in the room, and lack of suggestions or collaborations. Bubba and Devon were coming with it. Without it, right up there at the very top of my list. You never, almost sometimes too much. I've had conversations with Bubba on show day and say, today's production day. Today's not creative. We've already decided creative. Now we're going to do production. And what are we going to do in production? We're going to produce what's already laid out. But dude, he always came. And I think that is a huge part of the success, not just in the TNA years, but the success of those two guys through the years, is that, look, you don't become champs in Japan and WWE and TNA and wherever you went if you're lazy. That's the furthest thing from their mindset. They're very hard workers, and I'm proud to have experienced what I did with them through the years at TNA, no doubt.
Where do you think the Dudleys, what do you think their legacy will be as a tag team? Again, we haven't heard from Bully. I don't know. I'm of the impression that he's still going to have some more matches. I don't know that to be sure, but it does feel like this Dudley's era has come to a close. So if that really was it, and that's the last time we'll see the Dudleys as a tag team, what do you think their legacy will be, Jeff?
That's a good question. Boy, you asked me this today because I'm going down one road. You asked me tomorrow, maybe different. But more than anything, I'm going to say this with as much gold, glitter, and flake and respect, everything, mileage. Man, you think about their run, and when you get into a program with Devon and Bubba, it's you could easily, because we used to kind of build them in arcs of 3 months, but they could work with anybody. Like, you can have a brawl, you can have a wrestling match, you can have showbiz match, you can have a little comedy. Nothing those guys couldn't do. And I know it's easy to say most decorated and this and that, but I'm talking about as industry folks. They were pro, and when I say that, one of the mandate for me from Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett, learn to work with everybody, and those guys could.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name's Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama, what could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done. really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
NWA number 212 non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.